Hi guys, welcome to this upload for you guys today. Thank you ever so much for tuning into this very upload for you guys today. Now, obviously, big shout out to everyone of you guys to make an effort to hit that play button so you'll be notified anytime when I do any uploads. Please hit the subscribe button, the bell icon, select all. Please do so you'll be notified anytime when I do any videos for you guys on this very channel. Now, one thing I want to actually say to you, as you know full well through my uploads, you may think it's one thing I talk about, or two things, or three things. End of the day, it's not just the main focus why you've actually tuned in to hear me talk about. Because obviously, end of the day, I enjoy talking about professional wrestling, and a lot has been gone off in the last, let's just say, the last 48 hours since, well, 24 hours, in fact, since my last upload for you guys here on Wrestling Fan Open Mic Night. First and foremost, I want to actually say to you guys is that I will be sorting out my setup over the next week or so. So bear with me. So I'll be back at my PC talking about professional wrestling, having people on, because end of the day, I've reached out to a few of my friends throughout the world that want to be a part of this. And this is fantastic. It's not just going to be Ollie. It's not just going to be Paddy. It's not just going to be Nick. It's going to be numerous of people. Obviously, they talk about professional wrestling on their platforms, even if it's on TikTok, as well as obviously YouTube or Dailymotion or wherever they talk about professional wrestling. I made numerous of friends that want to be a part of Wrestling Fan Open Mic Night. And I'm grateful for that when I set this up. And that was my mission and goal, to get these people on, because they deserve to have their voice heard as well as obviously mine when it comes to professional topics. You know, we do it straight off. At the end of the day, as you know full well, I don't script my shows. I'll be honest with you. I just like shoot from my mind. And that's what I like about people, what I like about me on TikTok, as well as obviously being here on YouTube. And the one thing that I really caught my eye today, of all days, that has come out, the WWE are actually using AI scripted software to book their shows and their scripts. I did a video 2 months ago. Go back on my history. I did about a ChatGPT doing WWE booking. No, it's a bit of fun, you know, because it's a different entity towards obviously showing my wrestling fandom. And I thought I'd quiz ChatGPT because it's one of the popular software, if not the popular software that people love to use. You know, I know there's other ones since, but it's proven fact that people have literally leaked it out and saying that's how they're booking their shows now. You know, this is not me hindering WWE. This is getting lazy upon lazy for WWE. You know, you want people to pay extravagant money to see your product, but you are relying on a free piece of kit to basically book your shows. And you think this is okay? You really think this is okay? Are you barking mad? You know, this is not me like hindering WWE and people's fandom in 2025, but it really makes no sense for them to use ChatGPT, for example, to like Triple H, Paul Levesque, whatever you want to class him as, to someone who's up there with Nick Khan, and you are booking these shows this way. I'm not being funny. You don't see the fucking UFC side of the spectrum, the side of the fucking tree of TKO booking that way. Then you've literally, it's came out as well that the Liam Slater and Evans match at double fucking Bound for Glory was booked by the WWE. You know, you've wasted a clinic of a classic match. That's why I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about it when I was talking about the Hardys and Dudleys on one of my previous uploads this past week. You know? And I'll be honest with you. I will be frankly honest with you, right? When I look at this is a poor attempt, right? This is why I feel like WWE should not go have their roaring when they do this walking relationship. Oh, this would be perfect to bring in Dark State in this sort of match. Yeah, add 5 more minutes onto the match. Yeah, make it a draw, and then bring these in to wind it. Would have been better, like I mentioned in the previous upload. You could have literally put the likes of Dark State, like after doing the passing the boots, the Dudleys passing the boots to the Hardy Boys. You know, that moment in time. And then them coming out and then destroying that. It makes perfect sense. You know, destroy that moment. You know, I know it's a beautiful moment, but it would have meant so much more to Dark State, to NXT. It would have made so much, because they've got gaping wounds from losing the tag team titles. It makes perfect sense doing it that way. But who am I to judge the book? I can't book anything because I'm a fan. WWE can't book anything at the moment because they're using AI. You know, it just baffles me that all comes out. And I did a video 2 months ago taking the fucking piss out of them, because that's what really literally what you call it, soured my taste, because I felt this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like the WWE I once knew. In 2025, they're making stupid mistakes. Stupid mistakes going forward and backwards and so on. Now all this is coming out, and I'm thinking, Jesus Christ. Makes my video 8 weeks relevant 8 weeks ago, what I actually asked ChatGPT, are you booking the shows? You know, I did it as a bit of fun. But now, it's all coming out. It's all fucking coming out. You know, it's getting back to worse for WWE. You know, I feel bad for the likes of what I'm going to be talking about as well. Andrade, right? He went to AEW. He's got flack for it. He's got a no compete clause for 90 days. I'm not hindering that sort of thing. I'm not actually mad about it. I'm just find it quite insane that, obviously, I've already talked about this on TikTok, that you look at Andrade, right? He's gone back to AEW, and now they've fucking gaslighted him pretty much that much. Gave him ape shit, and people wondering where he is because of the 90 days to compete clause. The catch was, allegedly, he didn't know what it was in his contract, neither did AEW. You know, I'm not being funny, but I'm not being funny with the amount of stuff that was coming out about him, like saying he didn't no-showed house shows or anything like that. I'm not being funny. He had a valid, probably, reason. You know, we can't judge the reason why he probably done it, but I'm saying this as a fan because probably the divorce between him and Charlotte was an influence to him not turning up to house shows. You know, you think how tense that atmosphere is. You're divorcing someone, but you're on the same fucking roster. And Charlotte Flair, and you're literally on the same roster, the same show. You know, why do you think he no-showed? You know, there was hearsay rumours that it was to do with drug violations, and I'm thinking, what the fuck are you on about? You know, and it's another one that I heard that he can't speak a word of English. He didn't grasp it quick enough that WWE wanted. That's the reason why it was released. You know, but I'm not being funny. You didn't fucking use the guy for God knows how many weeks. Then out of the blue, he gets released. I'm not saying this in a bad light, but he's not a big name compared to the big names you would expect, you know, to do this no compete clause sort of thing. You know, he's got to make bread and butter. He's got to make money. He's got to survive in this world. You know, it just really frustrates me that people hop on the bandwagon thinking, oh, typical AEW signing him and all this lot, and didn't know what was going off. You know, end of the day, right, if he wasn't used on TV, and if he's not getting paid, right, what's the point of fucking making all this kerfuffle? You know, he went to AEW, now he's kicked off, and then apparently now TKO want to put 1 year no compete clause in everyone's contract. That is brave. That is really, really brave. It will affect everyone that has been ever working for the company that's under contract. That will affect everyone. It will affect all the newbies that will literally sign for that company if they want to sign for that company after this. But I heard this on UWO podcast based on Facebook, as well as here on YouTube. I'll leave a link to their channel down below. I'll tag them in this, actually. And I'm dumbfounded with this whole idea of this putting in. It's just the craziest idea ever, you know. And people may shunt me for saying this, but I've been saying WWE is scared what AEW is capable of doing. It's not about the people tuning into the product, it's the people that actually watch the product. You get quantity as well as quality with that company. You know, at times WWE. Yeah, so you look at that company and you think, okay, that it's not a bad look for them at all. It's a very, very bad look for them. The stuff they've been doing in 20 to 25 years looks really bad. As a business standpoint, as well as a fucking fan's perspective, be honest with yourself. You know, this is a bad look. If you implement this onto your contracts, this proves how scared you are of the competition. Not just AEW, not just because of TNA. If you went to TNA, it'd be a different story, wouldn't it? Because it's a working relationship. Because he's gone to AEW, do you think this is literally kicked them up the arse and thought, oh, fuck, he's gone back? You know, it baffles me the way it feels, you know? When you look at the bigger picture, you look at the bigger picture more than just the brand or whatever you want to class it as, because it's a big fuck up on their part if they put this into their contract. Because you are easily now, because this has been leaked, I'm saying it as a pinch of salt, but take it seriously. I think this is going to put people off re-signing for them, let alone signing for them. You know, no matter if it's NXT, no matter if it's Evolve or ID or LFG or to the main roster. You know, you gotta really think. The thing is, though, with this no compete clause for 1 year, does this mean that anyone that doesn't make ends meet in the WWE, right? When they don't sell enough merchandise, they don't get the crowd behind them, they don't make people. You need to be diehard and committed to your wrestling ability to make yourself so over with the crowd. You got to realize if you're signing yourself away and if you are released and you can't compete anywhere else for a year, you've got to rely on your name. You got to make that name work. You know, it's not straightforward like it was back in the day when you used to have like the likes of top independent talent coming in the company nowadays. Now, this is no me disrespect, but this is me being honest. You look at the top independent talent that came through the black and gold era, and a lot of them made it. A lot of them didn't. But you don't hear much of those names no more. They stuck there with their guns with the certain names they did, with the likes of Kevin Owens, the likes of Seth Rollins, the likes of Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, etc. Yeah, I call it Dean Ambrose, but if you know what I mean. They relied so much on the names they've already built up themselves around the world over the years, even though Dean Ambrose was obviously John Moxley in AEW now, but if you get what I mean, they relied on that so much over the years of the black and gold era to build up their name. They were confident they could make it. And they did prove their point. They did make it. But when I look at today's WWE, it's very hard to make names. You know, this is why I'll get onto the next bit as well when I'll be talking about that in a moment. Because that's what I mean. It's very hard to make names for yourself. Because you look at the way 2025 it has been with the WWE. It's been names that built up themselves if they've been released and then they're brought back to the company. Or they've gone to make a company, then come back. They've relied on what they've actually brought up themselves. But if you are making yourself homegrown talent, if you are signing for the WWE, you've got to put your work in. You know, and I know it's rare for WWE to have homegrown talent this day and age, but it's true. You've got to think logically, it's going to be very hard now if anyone signs for that company with that clause in they are relying so much on their heritage, what they've actually can bring through, what they can think they can do. But I tell you one thing, and I tell you this, it's going to be harder. 90 days was manageable. It will fly by like that. You know, it's like, it's mental to think that they want to implement this in every contract. Not just what Andrade broke with his 90 days, but if they do it for a year, it's fucking insane. You know, I'm not saying this because, I will stress this, I do not say these things because I'm an AEW fan. I'm just saying this, even if it was for AEW, if they've implemented this into their contracts, it's hard to make yourself a household name that quickly, that one naturally, as the way you've done it. Holly Cameron's done it. Princess, oh, what's her name? Someone's going to say in the comments, but you know what I mean. She's done it. Mariah May, when she was in the company, now she's like Blake Monroe, that she's in NXT, but I feel like she's not doing as well in NXT as people was expecting. You know, you look at the names they've actually made for themselves through that naturally is very rare. You know, I know Jamie Hayter had a lot of backing on the independent scene, but she literally had that backing full stop. But that's what I mean. It's like, now the new crop are coming through. And obviously there's a load of injuries on the main roster, so they're going to be calling up some NXT to fill in the spaces. But the problem is, where that lies, does that mean you're still going to be making household... You can't make household names out of the people that you're possibly calling up, male or female? You know, they're dropping like flies in WWE. This is the problem where it lies. That I feel like this is why you've rushed so much of Stephanie Valkyria, to the point where she's relied on her name. You've rushed her pretty well, but I'm just hoping she don't run out of gas going forward for that company. Because the way she's been portrayed as a solid powerhouse and everything, a great women's wrestler, don't get me wrong, but you're only pushing so far. Because the women's division is carrying that company at the moment, I feel. This is my honest opinion. I do respect women's wrestling. I do respect all wrestling. But I feel like the women are carrying it a lot more than the men. And that's me being honest. Because you look at the full front. You've got Becky Lynch. You've got Bayley. You've got Stephanie Valkyria. You've got everything like that. They've already made a household name for themselves. You know, they came through that era. Stephanie Valkyria is one of those rare ones that's already made a name for herself, and yet she's stratosphered straight to the main roster within a year or two of being with the company. Job well done, don't get me wrong. She's made a name for herself. She's made it work. But that's the problem where it lies. If you don't make it work, you're out the door faster than you was in that door. And if you're released from a contract that will gobsmack wrestling fans, like the recent list that was released, but apparently that's affected them as well. They can't compete anywhere for a year now. So what they're going to do? 9-to-5 job? You know? It's very hard to transition if you've invested your time and effort to go to the United States, to move to Florida, to basically make yourself a household name. And thinking, yes, I'm the best at doing this. I could be a WrestleMania eventer. It's not that straightforward. Because look who's dominating the WrestleMania scene at the moment. I know it's like only October, but you can see the straightforward what they're going to go with anyway. Because you look at the way Royal Rumble next year, right? Royal Rumble is around the corner. And you got to think, logically, when it comes to the Royal Rumble, it's Saudi Arabia that's controlling that show. So they are technically giving you a pre-WrestleMania for being at WrestleMania next year. Because they're the controlling the main event. They're controlling everything, the narratives, the storylines, the plots, everything. just that road to WrestleMania. And with the rumors and speculations, this is the main focus why I uploaded this video. Chris Jericho apparently is done and dusted. The deal is set. He's coming back on the Royal Rumble next year. And I'm not being funny, right? I'm not being horrible towards Chris Jericho. As you know full well, I respect Chris Jericho. I'm a fan of Fozzy. I like what he does in his rock band. I respect what Chris Jericho's done for the wrestling industry. But has he got any more points to prove what he can do with WWE? I don't think he has. You know, I know this sounds daft to mention, but why do you think AEW's not booked him? He's done it all for WWE. AEW. I'm not bad-mouthing him. Don't think I'm bad-mouthing him. But I think with Chris Jericho, I think he's already done it for AEW. He's done what he set out to do for AEW. He did a fantastic job doing it with AEW. The Learning Tree was a growing fan base. Pardon the pun, because it was a tree. But it worked in his favour. This guy is a genius, don't get me wrong. He reinvents himself to whatever era or whatever storyline you can give him to him. This is the list. Y2J Chris Jericho, you know, when he was in the Attitude Era. He reinvented himself in WCW. He had early promise going in WCW. I watched occasionally Smoky Mountain Wrestling when it was uploaded to YouTube. You know, this was like later on in years, obviously, not full on. And then when it was on the network, I watched it back then. Watched some of the episodes. You could see the progression of Chris Jericho. The amount of faces we've seen of Chris Jericho. What could he actually do to reinvent himself yet again? Is it the third coming or the fourth coming of Chris Jericho in the WWE? You know, this guy is so much of a genius. He could make a broomstick look amazing. You know, he set out what he wanted to do in AEW. He set out and done that. Being Le Champion. Or cheesy catchphrase like a little bit of the bubbly. That people were saying for many, many months. You know, when AEW started. He reinvents himself so much. I'm sort of excited to see what he can actually pull off back in WWE. But the problem where it lies is that people were saying, oh, he's out of shape. Oh, he's getting on a bit. Oh, he's out of... You know? People were just hindering him for that because he was in another company. As of late, I saw a recent photo of him. He's looking amazing shape for over 50. God, look at me. I'm fucking 45. I've got a fucking... That's not a beer gut, by the way. That's just losing the law of gravity. You might want to say, oh, that's TV 13, by the way. PG 13. So that's what I mean. I'm 43. And I've got a pooch. Is it a pooch? Whatever you call it. Sorry, guys. I know I probably made you bring up your tea. But if you know what I mean, it's just... People critique the way Chris Jericho was. But the amount he's done for the business, let alone done his own rock career, he's non-stop. I'm hoping to see him in February. You know, with Paddy and whoever else. I don't know. Just see how money goes. But that's what I mean. It's like, is he too old for the WWE format at the moment? Oh, excuse me. Because it baffles me, right? To the age he is, and then you got the likes of John Cena retiring, he can't take it anymore. Is this why he's coming back? Is this why he's coming back? Because they are struggling to build up the face of their company. I know they've got Cody before you think it. But I mean, the sort of a face for their company, their forefront. They need that someone experienced. You know what I wouldn't mind seeing? I'm not sure if it's ever happened yet. Chris Jericho versus AJ Styles. That'd be a fucking clinic of a match. You know, but the catch is, AJ Styles said he's retiring next year. Samoa Joe confirmed this week he's, by the looks of it, at the end of this contract in AEW. He's retiring at the end of his contract. 2025 is going to be a weird ending and 2026 is going to be a weird one. How many people are going to be retiring? There's a thought. And yet Chris Jericho still thinks he's got it. Don't get me wrong. If he's got it, he's got it. He can move better than I can fucking do. At the age of 43 with pins in my hips and a pacemaker. That's why you sometimes hear me heavy breathe, if you didn't know, because of obviously the Hocum's disease. When I'm a bit of shortness of breath, that's the reason why. But anyway, like I'm saying to you guys, don't get me wrong, I'm all for what Chris Jericho's planning to do to go back to WWE. I'm intrigued what they're going to do with him, going forward. But it's going to be such a weird feeling. Is he going to come back with Break the Walls Down, or is he going to come with Jericho's theme music? The Judas one, the one he's been coming out with, apart from the Learning Tree. But the thing is, with AEW, they lost creative direction with him after the Learning Tree. He suddenly disappeared, which I can understand because it's hard to give him even though they've got freedom of creative in AEW, there's only a limited you can actually do in AEW. But it's more limited what you can do in WWE. I'm intrigued to see what he can actually come up with. What they can actually come up with bringing him back. Is he going to be in the Royal Rumble? That's the rumours and speculations. So be it. I'm just hoping he's not coming back and then wins the Rumble. I used to look, to be honest, right? There's an exclusive for you. I may watch the Rumble. I may watch the Rumble pay-per-view to get me back into WWE. May do. Don't quote me on it. I may start doing watch-alongs. I don't know yet. Endless possibilities here onto this very channel. But one thing I'm actually saying, guys, is Jericho too old? Now, I'm not saying that in a bad light. Don't get it, my words mixed up or anything like that. But can Jericho still go? That's what I mean. It's like I look at the way WWE's roster at the moment, just by clips alone. That's how I see it through TikTok. I don't give it end of day. I do not give it a light of day whatsoever. Here on YouTube, when I'm scrolling through my FYP on, if you use TikTok, please follow me. I'm over 3.5k followers now. Unbelievable. But anyway, click the link tree down below. Please do. That's all my other social medias. But I'm saying to you guys, as a passionate wrestling fan, I'm really wondering what direction is going with WWE. Don't get me wrong, I do love AEW, but I just want to have that spark once again for WWE. But right now, I feel like AEW is amazing. And that's me being honest. Right? A lot of people now starting to switch in, which is good. But it just really frustrates me as a wrestling fan that how much WWE has changed their landscape, but it's the same shit. It's the same shit that we've seen. But the problem where it lies is, where's Jericho going to fit in that roster? People thinking, oh, he's going to be the new leader of the Vision. I can't see that. I could not see that. That's just me being honest. Because I feel like, yes, it could give them a new level. But Chris Jericho's got a good mouthpiece, even though Seth Rollins had a good mouthpiece. Even like I mentioned in the previous upload, CM Punk be ideal, but he's already got a good mouthpiece. I want them to have someone that doesn't speak that often, and I do not mean Brock Lesnar. And that's just me being honest with you. And it's so hard this day and age, because there's good promo takers in that company to the point where you couldn't see who'd be an outfit leader other than CM Punk. But if you want someone to be spoke of or speaking about and so on, it just blows my mind. Just thinking of it now, even when I did yesterday's video, I'm thinking, for once, WWE's got an unpredictability towards a Monday Night Raw. And that literally is for once that we've not actually had since the night after WrestleMania. We've been wanting this for a while, unpredictability. And my God, I hope they keep everything quiet with no match card that is put out. I miss those days when they didn't put the match card out. You just expect the unexpected week by week. But that's just my thoughts. But I thought I'll give you this upload today. But thank you ever so much for tuning in as always. Obviously, keep hitting that subscribe button, keep hitting that bell icon, select all, and then you'll be notified anytime when I do any videos. Including as well, guys, whilst you're here, see the link tree down below? Go on there, that's all my other social media outlets. But until next time, catch you guys on another video right here on this channel.